Hey guys, welcome back to Top 1%. It's been a while since I stood in front of the ring light in my room with this background, having a proper scripted, information based quality video. Things have been a little hectic, so I'm trying to get back on track to make quality videos again. And hopefully, this video will be of a lot of use to you because here we are talking about the definitive guide to building strength as well as hypertrophy, which means to build muscle. So I'll tell you everything you need to know practically that you need to do in your training so that you can maximize the amount of strength that you gain and also how much muscle you can build. So let's get started with this video without any further ado. Keep watching till the very end and I promise you it's going to be a pretty damn good video for you. So let's get started right away. Strength training. This involves training within the 1 to 6 rep range and it is more dependent on the intensity of training. What does intensity mean? It doesn't mean how much effort you're putting. Intensity simply means how heavy the weight that you're lifting, right? So when you talk about your percentage rep maximum, if you can lift just 1 rep, the weight is that heavy, that is 100% intensity of weight. If you're lifting about 2 reps, that would be 95% of your rep maximum. Here's a little chart on your screen that tells you what rep maxed out means which percentage of intensity. Hopefully that makes sense. So when you're training for intensity, when you're training for strength, it has a lot of CNS fatigue, which means central nervous system fatigue. Now, when you're training for strength, the volume or the total quantity of work that you're doing might be relatively less when you're training for hypertrophy or building muscle, but the toll it takes on your nervous system is quite heavy, especially as you get more advanced and you start lifting heavier and heavier. What does this mean? Simply the signals that your brain gives to your muscle through the neurons gets a little bit weaker as you get CNS fatigue. Training for strength requires you to warm up properly through 1 or 2 warm-up sets on any given main exercise that you're doing. It could be your bench press, deadlift, squat, overhead press, pull-ups, whatever it is. You need to use proper warm-up sets so that you're prepared for it and do straight sets, which means you do a set and then you increase the weight and then you increase the weight again. So you work up to your heaviest set one after the other. That is called training using straight sets. And you give plenty of rest between sets, anywhere between 3 to 5 minutes so that you're 100% recovered and you can actually give it your absolute best. Don't go into strength training when you're training within the 1 to 6 rep range and you're maxing out with incomplete rest. Now, if you're a beginner, there's going to be very quick adaptation in terms of your strength. You just learn the exercise technique, keep practicing so that you get better and better and be consistent. You're progressively going to overload and get stronger week after week, month after month. And it gets a little bit slower as you become an intermediate trainee, which means you have been training for many months consistently and now your strength gains have slowed down a little bit, or maybe you even hit a plateau where it's difficult for you to progress beyond that using the same exercise and the same methods that you used as a beginner. And at that point, once you hit a plateau, you try to take a deload, which is basically taking a week of training with lesser volume, or you unload where you train with lesser intensity. You take the weights really easy so that you can recover, and then the week after the deload or unload is done, you get back into training, and 9 times out of 10 you're definitely going to be improving your numbers, you're going to be progressing, and you repeat that cycle over and over again. Train hard and then take a deload when it's needed and continue that as you keep progressing. But it becomes even more difficult to make strength gains as you become more advanced, which means you've been training for many years consistently and you have gained a lot of strength. And at this point, even a small change in your training program can make a big difference. If you are more towards an advanced trainee, this is one of my favorite methods of progressing and getting stronger. And this is personally what I do and it works amazingly well for me. And this is called conjugate periodization. It's very simple. What you do is you train a given lift or a given main compound exercise which you want to get stronger at twice in a week. It could be deadlift, for example. So once in a week, you train heavy, that is called your max effort. You try to load as heavy as you can while trying to work up to your heaviest set, right? And on another training session of the week, you take it easy. This is called dynamic effort, when you're focusing on how fast you can move the barbell or how fast you can complete the rep. This is more focused on power, which is the speed and velocity of the movement rather than purely lifting heavy, right? So if you're taking 3 seconds to lift the barbell off the floor during a deadlift, during your max effort, when the weight is really heavy, during your power, you must be taking about 0.5 or 0.6 seconds to lift it all the way up. This really allows your body to recover and it also helps improve the neural drive which is basically the mechanism or the pathway through which you drive strength. So you're basically teaching your brain how to give signals to your muscle on how to adapt and lift the weight as effectively as possible. Hopefully that makes sense. I tried to simplify it. So using something like a heavy day and a light day, or a dynamic effort and max effort day, this is how you can progress on any given lift very well. And if you want to get stronger, ideally you want to train a given lift twice in a week. Too much more than that, your body is going to get beat up, and these heavy compound lifts do take a toll on your body over the long run. So you want to cycle them out from time to time, keep varying the exercises, listen to your body and take a rest when it tells you to, and be smart. And more importantly than anything, when it comes to strength training, focus on technique. No ego lifting. That's not going to get you anywhere. So using these simple, effective and practical strategies, you're going to get stronger and stronger, whether you're beginner, intermediate or advanced. Now that was about strength training. Now let's talk about building some muscle or hypertrophy. Hypertrophy involves training within the 6 to 12 rep range or even up to 15 rep range, and this is more volume driven. What does volume mean? It simply means the quantity of work that you do. Simply put, if you have to think of it as a formula, volume equals weight multiplied by sets multiplied by reps. As simple as that. So when it comes to hypertrophy, it has less of a CNS fatigue but more of a muscular fatigue and metabolic fatigue, right? When you have that metabolic buildup, that pump feeling, the rush of blood into your muscle, that is a metabolic fatigue. And muscular fatigue is simply your muscle getting drained out and exhausted because of the sheer quantity of work that you're doing. That is what hypertrophy is more driven on. That being said, don't overdo on the volume of training that you're doing, because let's say you're a beginner or you're newer to training and you still have a lot of progress to make. You're already doing 4 sets or 5 sets per exercise and you're doing 5-6 different exercises on a given day. That's too much volume. Your body is going to get adapted to it and it's going to get burnt out. So start off low, start off with 2 sets, then work your way up to 3 sets. So basically the entire point being, add more sets, add more volume only once you start plateauing. If you're able to increase the number of if you're able to increase the weights that you're lifting on a given exercise, your technique is getting better and you're progressing well, I don't see a reason to add more volume until you plateau. So that's one of the most important things that I feel when it comes to hypertrophy training. And also with hypertrophy, you don't need to warm up and prepare as much as compared to strength training. With strength training, you have to do 1 or 2 warm-up sets and then work your way up from the lightest to heaviest set. However, I believe the opposite for hypertrophy. Yes, you do need to warm up properly for any sort of weight training. That is crucial to remain injury free and to optimize your performance. But you work from the heaviest set towards the lightest set, because when you're doing higher number of reps, your muscles do tend to get fatigued set after set. So your potential to lift a certain amount of weight is highest right at the beginning as compared to the last or third set, right? So start from the heaviest set, exhaust your muscle a little bit, drop down the weight, and then continue working out towards the lightest set. So that is one of the most effective ways of training for hypertrophy, in my opinion. And you want to make sure that you have the right exercise selection when it comes to hypertrophy. For example, if you're training for strength, you're going to be more effective choosing proper compound lifts, typically barbell lifts. If you're a beginner, you don't have to get right into the barbell. You need to understand, learn the movement patterns and work your way up to it. But any sort of free weight movement, it could be barbells or dumbbells, tend to have more central nervous system fatigue. Whereas if you're training with cables or machines, the neural demand, the CNS fatigue is much lesser, which allows you to load on more volume. So for hypertrophy, typically you can use machines and cables more often as compared to just free weights, and that tends to have lesser CNS fatigue. So it can be quite effective in terms of packing on that size. Another driving factor for optimizing your hypertrophy training is time under tension, which is simply the amount of time under which your muscle is under tension under a weight. So how to make that happen is to slow down the eccentric part of the exercise, which is simply the part of the exercise where the muscle elongates. You slow that part down, because it has been shown that your eccentric part of the movement, you can lift about 30% more weight as compared to the concentric part of the movement. For example, take something as simple as a bicep curl. When you're curling the weight up, what weight you lift and you release it down, you can lift about 30% more. Does that make sense? So slow down the eccentric part of the movement on any given exercise, and you can increase the time under tension, which is definitely a very effective way of optimizing your hypertrophy training. Apart from that, you can also use many other techniques such as drop sets, which is you finish a set and then you immediately drop the weight down by about 15 to 20% and then continue the set without any rest. That allows you to pack on more volume with less time consumed. And apart from that, you can do supersets where you can alternate between two exercises. For example, if I'm doing a dumbbell bench press, I can alternate into a chest supported dumbbell row, right? One after the other. So you're working opposite muscles, and because of that, you're not fatigued. The muscle that's been worked is recovering while the opposite muscle is working. And that way you can pack on more volume of work while not spending the entire day in the gym. So drop sets and supersets are some of my most used and effective training methods for hypertrophy, because it makes sure that I get the work done efficiently and quickly, and I'm not spending the entire damn day in the gym. And that's all about hypertrophy. I told you everything that you need to know how to optimize your hypertrophy training as well as strength training. Hopefully this helps. Now that I've told you about strength training and hypertrophy training, let me give you some practical advice on how to tie them both together so that you can actually have a good training plan. So you can either train strength separately and hypertrophy separately at different periods of time, as in you can have an entire month of training block allocated to purely training for strength every week or every training session, and then you can progress towards having an entire training block for 1 month just focusing on hypertrophy. This is called linear periodization or wave periodization, wherein you progress from one training attribute to another training block after training block. This might work better for beginners, but me personally, I like to use another approach which is called undulating periodization, wherein you're integrating both strength and hypertrophy, and if you have other goals such as training for power as well, within the same week, within the same training block. So in a given week, you can train strength on one day, you can train hypertrophy on another day, so that you can train multiple training attributes and progress on everything within a given training block. All right. Also, you can train strength and hypertrophy within the same session. Just order the exercises such that you're doing strength first, so that you're completely fresh when you're training on your heavy compound lifts, and then go towards hypertrophy towards the later part of your session. You can do that as well. So there are many different approaches to training, and you need to be smart about it. You need to educate yourself about it. Hopefully some of my other videos help you do that. And please feel free to reach out to me either through my email or on Instagram, and I'll be happy to help. Hopefully this video was very helpful and informative. And if you're watching this video till this point, you, my friend, are a serious student and you actually want to learn. So salute to that. So if you enjoy this video, make sure you hit the thumbs up button, comment down below what other content you want me to cover in the future, and share this video with all your friends who are into strength training or anybody that you think would benefit from this video. Also subscribe to this channel and hit the bell icon. It's going to help me out immensely. Until next time, take care, stay hungry.